It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Heather and Vera with another episode of I Can't Mom Today podcast. Hi, Vera.
Hey, Heather.
I remember to say hi.
Hi.
I'm winning today.
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about mom guilt. We had a new member join our Facebook group, Erin Fleck, and she gave us, hey, Erin, thank you for the great idea. She wants to kind of know a little bit about mom guilt, and we're not know about it. She feels it. Every mom feels it. Every parent feels it, I'm sure, at some point. And so we wanted to give some tips about mom guilt. Now, this is kind of more geared towards the working mom, but the stay-at-home mom also has guilt. So we're going to touch on that as well. All right. Ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So we had there's 11 tips from this Getting Over Mom Guilt article on healthywomen.org. And so the first thing that they say is to know you're letting your child, so when you feel guilty that you're dropping your kid off at daycare or whatever, or letting them go out and be on their own without you. And it says, no, you're letting your child grow. Because kids act differently around mom. Like, you ever hear those stories about you drop your kid off at daycare and they're screaming and crying, and then you call like an hour later and the daycare people are like, yeah, like within 3 minutes, your kid stopped crying and they were totally fine. So, I mean, you hear those stories all the time. Did that happen to you with Baker?
Yes. When he was in baby school, like super baby, infant room, he was he was a blob, so he didn't notice. But when we moved him to the toddler room a few months ago, he lost his shit. Probably 3 or 4 days. It got better, but yeah, he was like very clingy and like, ah! I'm like, where is this baby?
Yeah. See, I think that happens to almost every mom. Like, you drop your kid off, or your kid also tends to, and I've often thought about this when we were little, I mean, past a certain age, but we'd go spend a couple weeks every summer with my grandmother. And I remember that there was just this kind of, when you're a kid, it was almost kind of a relief to be around someone you felt comfortable with, but not with your parents. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Just kind of be yourself.
We actually see that now with Baker even. He's such a crank butt all the time. Like, not all the time. Sometimes. Like, he's a pretty good kid actually, but he's just been going through a stage recently where he cries about everything. Like, there was a temper tantrum and we're just like, geez. But at school, they're like, he's so good. He's just the best kid. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, that's always the litmus test, how they act when you're not around.
Totally.
So, okay, you want to do the next one?
Yeah. You're making someone happy. So when your kid is in daycare or in school, they have events, right? And you're not always able to go to those events. So you're making someone else happy by inviting them, because sometimes, the grandparents want to join, the aunt, uncle, a cousin, a good friend, somebody can be there in your place, and so they're happy to be there and happy to see your child doing this event or having this milestone or this fun time, and they're able to have that experience, and it's kind of a one-on-one experience with them as well. So you're making someone else happy. So you even though you're super bummed and you're like, dang it, I wish I could be there, this sucks, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, see, I can totally relate to this, because recently Luke plays the cello and he's in his high school orchestra, and they had their first concert this year, and he was moving up. He was in the advanced orchestra. But we've mentioned in a previous podcast, I'm struggling with this joint disease, basically, and I was really not feeling well. And I asked my mom, I always ask my mom and my stepdad to go anyway, but I made sure, I was like, you guys are going to go, right? Because I'm not so sure I can go. I'm not sure I can make it because I'm really not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, it's totally cool. I said, oh, good. Okay. And Luke even said, Mom, really, it's okay. I'm like, I know, but I've never missed one of your concerts. And, and I felt so guilty. I still feel a little guilty, even though here I am telling you not to feel guilty. I feel guilty. I still do. But I tell myself, you just have to tell yourself, it's okay. He had his grandparents there. It's not like he wasn't. And he actually, now he's getting older. So he had a couple of friends that drove there and just went to watch him and their other friends that are in the orchestra. So now that he's older, some of his friends can actually go on their own. And it's not just parents, it's friends that show up too. So that made him feel good. We all get to spread the joy of music. And I need to remind myself not to feel guilty about that.
And I think kind of something that I'm going to try to keep forefront in my mind for the future, because I know this is going to come up and I am going to be bummed about it. And I think having a conversation with your child as well and just saying, hey, mommy loves you or daddy loves you. I really want to be there for you. And just know that I'm there with you, even though, my heart is there with you, even though I'm not there with you, because I have to go to work. And unfortunately that's our life. And
oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, that's okay. So then this next one that really caught my eye was, no, it's okay to let things go. So if you let some things slide so that you can spend time with your family, like hiring a cleaning person, or ordering takeout because you're too tired to cook. It's okay to turn down a birthday party invitation. Again, big source of mom guilt. So you can spend some one-on-one time with your child or squeeze in some extra family time. Like I have a cleaning person, and they're, depending on where you are and how much they cost or whatever, it's not always cost effective for everybody. But I seriously always work that into the budget because A, it keeps me and my husband from arguing as much about cleaning, and B, it does. I mean, when you work all week and you're busy all week, who wants to spend their Saturday cleaning their house? So
I do.
You do?
I mean, I don't enjoy it, but I do it because unfortunately, we're not in this financial situation where we could hire somebody. And plus, like, our house, I've said it before, 1925, and it just is dirty. And it's not like I can't, it's one of those things that you clean it and it still feels dirty.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Like, I just don't want to clean it, but I do it because I have to. And because that's, the thing I have to do. But I'm not gonna lie. It's only like maybe once every 2 weeks,
Yeah. Well,
I'm okay with that.
But see, that would be another side to that is, don't feel, if you just say you were on a weekly cleaning schedule and you decide one Saturday, screw it, I'm not going to clean today and let's all go to the park or let's all go do something fun. I think that's totally a win,
Totally. And you know what? Here's the deal. My son is young and he is not self-sufficient right now. So he can't do things without me fearing that he's sticking his hand in the diaper pail.
Ew.
No, he stuck a book in there the other day. I was like, what?
Uh-oh. Is he going to be one of those kids where you got to lock the toilet?
Probably. Yeah, actually, he will 100. He loves water. So we just closed the bathroom door.
Okay, there you go.
And he's learning doorknobs.
Yep.
Little turd. Literally.
Right? Exactly. Laying in the toilet.
And so the next one is, no, you can't let pressure get to you. Okay. So we all have pressures as parents. Everybody, we measure ourselves against other people so often. And so I know I compare myself a lot of times, and it's just, I need to let that go. And that's something I work on daily because there are so many people that make that Instagram life. And
well, you feel the pressure, like, even at school, it's like, we need a mom for our classroom, or we need cupcakes on Friday, or, and you're like, oh, dang it. I wish I could be there, or I wish I could make those cupcakes, but I really can't. I'm wiped, man.
Yeah. And you didn't make your child home cooked meal for lunch, like specifically just for lunch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. The food is always a big source of guilt. Big time.
Yeah, totally.
Big time. So, well, that's good. Well, then the next one that I saw that I was like, oh my God, so true. Some people will always make you feel guilty. Like your mother-in-law, or even your next door neighbor, or just there's somebody that's always you feel like looks at you and goes, yeah, you really should have made him something homemade for lunch, or really, you let your kid have French fries, or really, whatever. Somebody's always going to make you feel guilty.
Totally. And some people don't realize they are making you feel guilty. I know some older women in my life will say, oh, well, when the boys were little, I'm like, okay, well,
that's nice.
Good for you.
Bully for you. That's not me.
Yeah. No.
Because, and again, like you stress yourself out, you feel so guilty because you're worried about somebody else making you feel guilty for something. And it just sucks all the fun and joy out of maybe that occasional time that you do manage to pick up some pick up some cupcakes that you didn't home make, but you did manage to bring them to your kid's classroom. You can go, hey, go me. At least I was able to do that much,
Yes. Yes. And no, it's okay to be a working mom. So I know we've touched on this before. Stay-at-home mom thing was not for us. And I mean, we totally give props to stay-at-home moms because I know I couldn't do it. I would go crazy.
Me neither. Me too. Yes. Stay-at-home moms are seriously like, I have no idea how you do it because it's amazing.
And just they say, no, it's fine to enjoy the simple things in workplace, like standing around the water cooler. I don't know if people actually do that, but like, congregating around somebody's desk and like talking about the TV or, your spouse, because, but enjoy those times. Enjoy that, while you're there, embrace the culture and the experience of being there.
Being at work. Yeah. And don't feel guilty if you're a working mom. Just like some stay-at-home moms, when you talk to them, they say, oh, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And you ask them what they do. And you're like, why are you looking at me like you're feeling bad about that? I'm like, you're amazing.
Yeah.
I could never do it because your boss at home is always pulling at you emotionally. Whereas hopefully in the workplace, it's not like that. You don't have that emotional tie to your boss like your kid.
Yeah. But I think, I don't know who has perpetuated this conflict between stay-at-home moms and working moms, but I feel like it's just like this giant rift and everybody's like, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom. Oh, you're a working mom. And it's just, everybody's so judgmental. And it's like, can we just agree that they're different and they're equally hard in different ways?
Yeah. And we're moms. Like we have that in common. Why does it have to divide us for some reason?
I think somebody was like super jealous because somebody didn't have to work and they were able to stay at home. This is just my guess. And so that's, that probably started that side, and the stay-at-home mom side was, really wanting to, maybe they felt pressure to stay at home, or maybe they're feeling isolated because they're staying at home and, they're jealous of the working mom being able to get out and get away from their kids. So I think that someone perpetuated this argument at some point, but both points of view are equally difficult.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree. Well, then that brings us to our next little tip about mom guilt, which is knowing that you're lucky. So it may not seem like it at times, but you're lucky to have a family, because a lot of people that for one reason or another don't have a family or can't have a family or are working to gain a family, but they're not quite there yet. So you got to kind of take those like little, like I had a girlfriend that said to me one time, she said as her daughter was growing up that she would try and take these little like mental Polaroids, like little mental photographs of moments that she knew like, okay, this is a special moment. This is really cool. And I've got to just take this mental picture and remember it so that the times when I'm going crazy and feeling guilty and, stressed out and tired and whatever, to remember these little moments where not everybody gets this,
Totally. I have to remind myself of that sometimes too, because we didn't have an easy time getting pregnant. And so I have to be, I have to think about the people that can't. I was able to, and thankfully so. And so I think that kind of puts me in check sometimes when I'm like complaining about something Baker's doing. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I have them though. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
The next one is pick your battles. And I don't know if I really like this. I think it should be more like be flexible.
Right.
And try to, because sometimes you're going to be late. There are some times that I take that extra time with Baker in the morning because wants to be silly and he wants to do this. We walk from his classroom to the classroom I have to drop him off in. And sometimes he's really, follows really quickly and he's like, yep, I'm on it, Mom. And then other times he dilly-dallies and screws around and watches people. And, I'm like, come on, bud. Yeah. And I could just snatch him up. But I'm like, he's having a good time. I'm going to allow him to have this time. And I'm just going to be a couple of minutes late for work and, having that conversation with my boss and just making sure that it is in the forefront of, I need flexibility in my position. And she knows that with that flexibility comes, I'll answer emails at night, or if she needs me to jump on a conference call, I can do that for her. And so I think having flexibility in your life and setting that tone.
Yeah.
Because I know some people are like, oh, my workplace isn't flexible. And a lot of times we don't ask for that flexibility. I know that was my case. And I was telling like, dude, I need to have this.
Right. Yeah, no, that's important. Like you said, it's like, well, I'll answer your emails at night every so often if you're okay with me being in a couple minutes late in the morning,
Yeah.
Depending, of course, what your position is, what your job is, it's more possible in some situations than others. But yeah, definitely being flexible and picking your battles. Like, well, I can't. Again, I hate to keep using the cupcake analogy, but it's just easy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to make cupcakes for every single little party, but maybe I can pick some up at the store every once in a while, or I can send, like, a lot of times one of the things that I would do is like send, if the teachers would ask for supplies, I'd at least try and send supplies throughout the year if they need something like that, or or chaperone a field trip once in a while if you can do that. If you can't go to lunch maybe at your kid's school, but you can chaperone a field trip, or just do something little just so you're like, okay, well, I'm involved, but don't feel like you need to do everything and be upset with yourself every time you can't.
Yeah, totally. And then, maybe it's a surprise. I'm going to pick him up early from school and he's not going to know.
Yeah, exactly. Just something simple like that, even if you can get off work early one day and you're like, woohoo, I'll go pick him up early.
Totally.
So,
or take that time, go get a drink. Whatever.
Or go get a glass of wine with your bestie, which that is okay too. Sometimes you need a little bit of me time.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, and that brings us to our next one, which is know you can spend more time with your kids. So if the guilt's totally eating away at you, you can maybe pull your kid out of daycare for the day, put in for a vacation day and spend the day together. Maybe if you see the opportunity, leave work a little early, put your phone down. This is, again, I see a lot of parents guilty of this, where they're just on their phone or looking at their phone while they're with their kid. And I'm like, look at your kid, talk to your kid, So,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, I do that. I'm more often than not looking at my phone during, like, when we're, in the morning. It's so crazy that I make my coffee and then I give myself like 5 minutes to just sit there, and he's in baby jail and I'm reading my Facebook.
Yeah. No, and that's okay, because you need that little bit of you time, that little bit of that. But then, too, to find a way to maybe carve out a couple of hours in a day, or, don't clean one Saturday. Screw it.
Also, on the flip side of that, though, is when he has his milk in the morning, he sits on my lap and I take the time with him and just like let him sit there and drink his milk. And then we get some cuddles in, and that takes like probably 10 or 15 minutes. So I block that time off in the morning because that's the only time I have.
Yeah. Or like bedtime. That was often a big source of one-on-one time for me and Luke, was, reading a story, just kind of talking. Of course, when he got a little bit like around 3 or 4, it was like, can I have a glass of water? Can I have this? Can I have that? One more story. I was like, okay, enough already. You're going to sleep.
I recall babysitting him and saying, walking away for like the 7th time, and him and me going, like, what could this child possibly need?
I know. He would just delay going to sleep is all.
Yeah, so we drop and go.
Out. Yeah.
We drop and go. Like, he's there, and we put him in bed, and then we like haul ass. We're like, bye.
Yeah, exactly. Peace out.
And sometimes, when we're out of town, I take that time and, cuddle with him. But yeah, for the most part, we drop and go. Like, bye-bye, bud.
Yeah.
Good morning. Please don't wake up.
Yeah.
And the last one is, know it's okay to be sad. So you have feelings. We all have feelings, and it is okay. It's just the difference between like really replaying that and getting sad all the time, every time, versus getting sad, having your moment and moving on. And if you're not able to have that moment and move on, then there may be something a little bit more happening here. And so that's where I would suggest going to like a mental health professional for, support.
Yeah. Well, I always say everybody can handle a good counselor at any time, really.
Hmm.
But yeah, but if you're feeling like you're having these feelings that just won't go away and you can't, it's never good to repress feelings, basically. I think that's part of this point, which is like, you know what? I'm sad. You know what? I'm bummed that I do have to go to work and I'd rather be a stay-at-home mom or vice versa. Or bummed that I can't go to my kid's orchestra concert, and just go ahead and let yourself feel it, but know that it's not the end of the world, you know?
Totally.
And I think that's kind of the point. Like everything, it's just okay. It's all gonna work out in the end if you show your kid love and support and keep them clean and fed.
Yes. And I think from my perspective on this, and something that I still hold true, or, the belief that I hold this belief in my heart, is that no matter what you do, your kid's like going to have some kind of like issue. And it's going to be, it may be small, it may be big. You don't know. I mean, if you are the perfect parent and you are literally Donna Reed, I'm dating myself. If you are that person and you're just like, or Mrs. Cleaver or whatever those
Yeah.
50s shows are.
Damn, girl, you ain't that old.
No, I know. I watch Nick at Night.
Oh, okay, there you go.
But if you're that mom, then you're setting up maybe in the future, your child will expect that is how their life is, and their spouse doesn't see that. So your child is gonna have some kind of issue with you, because of how you raise them. And the keeping in mind is, am I raising them to be a good person? Yes.
Mhm.
Am I teaching them values? Yes. Am I teaching them respect? Yes. And just knowing what values you hold true and that you're passing those along, just know that you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Well, and again, sometimes you can do everything that you think you're doing perfectly. Like I have a girlfriend who has a teenage son and she's struggling with him. And she's like, I don't understand where he's getting some of this from. Like she's just totally, but again, she sought out counseling for herself and for her kid, to try. She's like, maybe somebody else can get in his head because I can't get in his head and I can't figure out what it is. But she's a full-time working mom, but then she's also the kind of mom that always brings cupcakes to the, like, I'm like, how do you do all of that stuff? I don't even know how you have the energy for it all. So at least, and I know her pretty well from the outside looking in, she's really doing everything she possibly can. And it just turns out that for some reason her kid has this like kind of chip on his shoulder that she's struggling with. So again, the guilt, you're going to somehow something's going to be screwed up, but it's not all your fault,
Yeah. And it's not, yeah, exactly. That's what I should have said. And so just know that you are doing the best you can. And that's all your child can ask for, truthfully.
Exactly. And ultimately they know, I think they know if you love them. And I just think that's so huge right there. So, and that's easy.
Yeah.
So I know you've already got 90% of it down if you love your kid.
Yes. Just show them that love, because they're going to see that love and they're going to feel that love.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
One thing that Erin was asking about is, as I'm guessing she's a stay-at-home mom just based on some statements that she had made. And she
on
gets
the Facebook page. Yeah.
Yes, on Facebook, where you can find us, I Can't Mom Today. And so one of her questions or issues was stay-at-home mom guilt with putting your kid in front of the TV when you have to get shit done at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know that there is a parent out there that hasn't used TV or some kind of electronic device to quote unquote babysit their child while they get shit done, because it's just a fact of life, I mean.
Well, and again, too, I kind of have this like, I always equate things back to caveman days, not really caveman days, but like back in the day, a few generations ago, people all lived, you had maybe another family member or somebody living in the house where you could be like, hey, I got to go, wash the dishes, or I've got to go run to the store. Here, take the baby, or I've got to just do something. I've got to write a report for work or something. And there were usually other people around. Right now, everybody's parenting, especially here in the US, we parent like one, you know what I mean? There's like two parents and kids. There isn't anybody else really to help out.
Yeah, it's not a village anymore. And so the more we move away from that village, the more we have to substitute.
Right.
and
Right.
use other resources. And that's your other resource, you know?
Yeah. And there are some really good, I mean, I have to say, they've really done a lot with children's programming. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some really good stuff that's, educational, but also friendly. And, I think it'd be different if you sat your kid down in front of like, a rated R movie with people getting shot and killed. But if you put them down with Sesame Street or something innocuous and happy and educational or whatever, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really don't.
Sometimes Baker and I watch Jersey Shore together. I mean, you also got to watch your shows, ladies.
Yeah, there's going to be a point. See, you're still in the honeymoon period where he's too little to understand Jersey Shore. So in another few years, though, when he starts picking up the Jersey accent, and then you're going to be like, okay, maybe not.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That's when I'll save it for the mommy time when I'm on my iPad or something.
Yeah. Oh, but and one more thing too, that from my mom, the wisdom of my mom is too much of a good thing, which applies to everything, no matter how you look at it. So like too much TV can be bad. So you just got to moderate, just like too much chocolate. That's a good thing, but it can make you sick. Or too much seriousness. That can be boring. Too much of a good thing. Everything in moderation, I think. So
totally.
Yeah.
And and to speak to that is also spending too much time with your kids. Not that there's ever too much time, but engaging them so much, they
don't know how to play on their own too.
Yes, that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm noticing with Baker is that he wants us to play with them all the time. I'm like, dude, you have so many toys. Go play with them. And so that's why sometimes we just put them in baby jail and walk away, and put them in there with a puzzle or something engaging, and that's going to stretch his mind, not just toys.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And I think that it is important for a child to know how to kind of do things on their own, just as much as being social. I think either way.
Mm-hmm. So on that note, the survey, again, if you want to look it up and maybe you want to read more about it, it's on healthywomen.org. So it's a plural women, healthywomen.org. And the article was 11 tips to get over working mom guilt. If you have any tips that you would like to share with us, please go to our Facebook page, I Can't Mom Today, or you can share it on Instagram at I Can't Mom Today podcast. Or you can email to us, ican'tmomtodaypodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and give us some feedback. You can either leave it on any of those social media or email accounts, or you can leave it in the podcast service that you use.
Yay!
Yeah. Until next time, have a great day.
Bye.